Okay, so I only see one attendee so far. Oh, no, I'm starting to see a bunch. All right. Well, it's 12 o'clock. Should we wait for some stragglers to come in, or should we get started, Peter?
Yeah, I'd say maybe kick things off here, right? Every meeting starts on time, ends on time, every time.
Every time, baby. How are you, Peter?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing today?
Good, good. Well, thanks for joining Insurance Hacks. I'm excited to have you on the podcast, or the podcast. What do you call this? The video cast?
The Blurs Day thing, like the COVID Blurs Day thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So excited to have you on. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. As the webinar happens, you know, we want you to ask questions, right? So don't wait until the end to ask questions. Feel free to pop in, and there should be an icon there at the bottom that allows you to ask questions, and we'll be following through on the chat box, etc. So little about us. Archway Computer, we were founded about 11 years ago. We do IT support, security, consulting for independent agencies only, about 220 independent agencies. And those are a bunch of the people that work in our company. We have about 68 full-time folks. I've been automating agencies for 36 years. And I started building computers in my garage in Reseda, California. And if you've been to Reseda, California, you know that's not a very glamorous place. The goal of the webinar really is to share the best and the brightest in this industry in terms of the technology that they're coming out with, and the new tech that's coming out, and trying to tell you about trends in the industry, etc. So my tech tip of the day is to avoid disclosing personal info on social media sites. Now, believe it or not, I'm not on Facebook. I for many reasons. Nobody ever says on Facebook, hey, it's been another miserable day at the Jones family here. Everybody that I see on Facebook, they're doing 360s while they're water skiing on their yachts. And it just got me a little depressed. But I know a lot of you are on Facebook and other social media platforms, and hackers are too, and they're looking at your information, and they're doing what we call, you've all heard of phishing, right? Which are these annoying emails where they're trying to give you to give up their credentials, or Microsoft's calling you, etc. Spear phishing is all about being really targeted in the hacking that you're doing. And social media and telling people, hey, we're having a great time here in Costa Rica, is a good way of notifying the hackers of personal things that you've got going on that they can use when they try to break into your systems with your folks. So don't fill out these little who's your favorite dog, what's my Star Wars name, etc. Some of the things that you can do to prevent hacks through your social media is to adjust your privacy settings so that only friends can view your stuff. Visit the alert section and see what's been going on. Be cautious. It's not the more the merrier on social media. Just be cautious when you add somebody as a friend. Avoid these quizzes and games. They're not there because somebody thought it would just be fun. They're there because they're trying to get information from you so that they can target you with either marketing or worse, with hacking. And clear out any applications that sort of use Facebook. All right, so now to our big time speaker here, Peter Macdonald. I met Peter about 7 years ago when he was working at his father's insurance agency. He was super bright. I knew he was too bright to be an insurance agent. No, I'm just kidding, guys. But super bright guy, went to MBA school while he was working full-time in the industry. And he started a company called Wunderite, which they call it the easy button for doing renewal paperwork, etc. So Peter was always frustrated. I'm not going to put too many words in his mouth, but Peter was always frustrated with the state of technology in the industry. So instead of like me just going, this sucks, he decided, hey, I'm going to create a product to do it. Little background on Peter. Like I said, he was selling insurance in his family's agency. He has all these great credentials, including getting his MBA, right, Peter?
Yeah. Probably a little bit too many of the alphabet soup behind my name, but you know, when I was 23 and trying to get the insurance agent fired, who was a golfing buddy of my, my customer or prospective customer, I wanted to have a little bit extra, technical expertise. So
right. So I am going to turn it over to Peter if I can figure out how.
Yeah, I could just share my screen, I suppose.
Okay.
In a minute. But yeah, or you could stop sharing yours.
I'm going to make you host.
Okay.
Oh,
it says host disabled. Okay, I got to share my screen. So I still can't share mine, Brad.
I made you host? Okay, one sec. Let me try it again.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, no bueno. I can share, it'll be a little weird if I share mine. I could share the presentation with you if you wanted to go through it. How does that sound?
Yeah, but let's see why I can't get you to share. Let's see, I'm gonna stop my video. That's my bar mitzvah photo, guys.
I'm just gonna email you the link, Brad, and you can walk through it. This is probably gonna be the easier way.
Okay, no problem.
Sometimes, guys, technology doesn't work the way that you want, and you have to adapt. If there's one thing I've learned running a
wait. I got it. Sorry, there was a pop-up here.
Oh, okay.
I apologize.
All right, so half the time it's the technology, the other half it's user error.
No,
I never blame our customers, by the way. I never blame our customers. I always like, oh yeah, we'll take a look into that. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen.
The problem with having 3 screens is stuff pops up on 3 screens.
We're just too damn busy these days. Can you guys see my screen, by the way?
I can see your screen just fine.
I just thought I'd pull up, by the way, since you're talking about this amazing topic of hacking. This is someone I follow. He's a venture capitalist. He probably throws one of the most expensive trade shows. It's like $7,500 trade show. It's a meeting. It's $7,500 per ticket. It sells out, and the waiting list sells out every year. He just posted recently, like, please report this account. These fake crypto scams, they're driving me nuts. They got 10,000 followers like pretty quickly. So I think it's, sometimes you can try and hack a system, and then other times you can just hack people. And it turns out hacking people is probably easier. And when I say hacking people, of course, I just mean, tricking people. So anyways, if you're on Twitter, you can check out my Twitter is Peter D. Macdonald. But anyways, we'll come back. Okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and get this started. So I'm going to talk about Wunderite a little bit, but really wanted to help you all automate sales. Think about tips you can use to drive a better sales process. And so I wanted to share some tips from my days as an insurance agent. Just quick background on me and myself, to Brad's point, went to business school, met my co-founder, Joe, there. While I sold insurance, Joe had bought insurance, and he knew that of all the things he did at his family business, insurance was one of the most confusing. He's like, there has to be an easier way. And so that's kind of how we kicked things off, a few years ago, after 2 years in business school together. Also, just quick background, like, hey, who is this guy, Peter? Why should we care? This is a picture of me in Washington, D.C. with some lawmakers, met a lot of lawmakers, went, I think, 5 years in a row with the big I. So like very much loyal to the independent agent space, literally booked meetings with our lawmakers directly to talk about things that are important to agencies across the country. Things like NARAB 2, which is cross-state agency licensing, things like terrorism risk insurance and flood insurance and crop insurance. So like very loyal to the independent agent part of the insurance supply chain, value chain. My dad still has his agency. We talk all the time. He's actually one of our agencies going live with a new integration we're excited about in the next days here. And one of the best parts about my job is I get to travel all across the country and meet agencies who are doing things in a lot of different ways. Right now, there's about 36,000 agencies in the US, independent agencies. That's like for every Starbucks, there's 2.5 independent agencies. And so there's so many ways that people do business. And one of the challenges that I guess they work with now is learning about that and thinking, how can we make it better with software that can kind of work for everybody? So please connect with me, hit me up on LinkedIn, Twitter, book a demo on our website. Would love to learn from you, learn from your agency, how you do business and how we could potentially help. All right. So what are some tips that I had used in my days to grow sales, going from nothing to, establishing a book of business? 5 tips I want to run through, and yeah, we'll kind of just kick things off. So the first thing, if for those of you who've been in insurance for a few years, is talk dirty. And what I mean by that is, in our industry, for whatever reason, we like to use these boring words like claim, or like, hey, my customer had a loss. If you've ever gone through a bad experience, whether it was hacking involved or a building burned down, like there's no emotion, like, hey, we had an accident, or like, if you die, liability, or, EPLI, DO, I can guarantee you this means nothing to the average business. I can tell you with the startups that I've referred to insurance agents, these terms don't really mean anything. Umbrella, people think their umbrella covers everything. They're like, oh, my umbrella will just cover it if there's a mistake. Co-insurance, right? This is a term that literally probably 90% of agents could not explain how to calculate. Same thing with experience mod. It's a formula that Einstein couldn't figure out. These are things that, like, terms you should probably just remove entirely from your vocabulary when you're talking about selling a new deal, right? These is like, I'm vomiting on my customer. What do your customers know? Like, what they know is, hey, I had a guy, he was working on a shelf and the shelf fell and it landed on his back. They know, like, hey, I had a guy, he was unloading a pallet off of the truck and for whatever reason it threw him to the floor. Yeah, let's see that in slow motion, right? But like, this is what people know. They're on TikTok, they're on YouTube, and they're running their businesses. They have security cameras. This is not a claim or a loss or like an accident. This is someone's life. This is someone's livelihood. This is a real person. This is from Yosemite a few weeks ago. I know Brad's experienced a few, atrocious things, but it's not like a flood loss. It's like, hey, what happens when the river goes higher than you ever thought humanly possible and it rips your house off the foundation and then drags it down the river? We're not even talking about like, co-insurance penalties. We're talking exclusions. We're talking, there's not even a place to put your house back. We're not just talking ordinance or law. So, use emotional imagery that is not necessarily too emotional, but that your customers can relate to. Again, this is from Yosemite with this horrific flood a few weeks ago. I think now they're going through some awful, awful forest fires. And I know Brad has had experience with that. Brad, how did it feel like with having colossal fire in your life? Was that like a claim or what was that?
Yeah, so in 2018, our home burned down in the Woolsey fire. And it was, you wake up one morning and you have 3 t-shirts and a pair of pants, and that's it. And I had my laptop computer. I could still work. My brain couldn't work. But, I called my insurance agent, and he's a friend of mine. And I always complained about, the prices and it goes up and all this sort of stuff. And he knew what had happened. He had heard through the grapevine, and his answer, he picked up the phone and he says, see, see, you need me. And having a great agent, I mean, if I didn't have a great agent, I would be in a corner in a fetal position right now. So it was, it was, and I always say to my customers, what you guys do is amazing work, and you don't hear that very often. And it's just, I'm so happy and proud to be serving this industry. So that's it. That's it for me.
Oh, hey, and listen, at Wunderite, we believe it 100%. The name is a combination of wonder, the German word for miraculous, and underwrite, this thing that we all do every day, was created in Lloyd's of London, when you would literally sign your name beneath in the ship's manifest of like, where's it going? Who's the crew? What's the weather like? What's the goods? We wanted to bring the miraculous back to insurance, right? Where like too many times people are like, insurance is just a necessary evil. But if you've actually had to live through 1, 2, multiple incidences, insurance, when it makes you whole, is amazing. And I think if you've been in the business for a few years, you've definitely seen it. So back to talk dirty. It's not underwriting. When you're talking to a business, it's like, listen, Brad, nobody wants to insure your property when it looks like a landfill. Again, emotional words. It's not just an accident. It's like, well, hey, when an employee smashes your car, it's not just like a claim. It's when your worker hurts his back on the job, can't go back to work. Disability is like, hey, who's going to pay the bills if you can't go back to work? EPLI, it's not just like this like 4-letter acronym. It's like, hey, what happens when somebody makes a stupid sexual comment and it's the next Me Too movement in your company? Cyber liability. It's not just like, liabilities. So it's like a euphemism. It's no, someone clicked a link they shouldn't, and then all hell broke loose. If you're selling life insurance, it's not if you die, it's like when you die. 2 things are certain in life, death and taxes. Like, don't be telling customers like if you die. Umbrella, it's like, hey, what size check do you want the insurance company to write? Co-insurance, it's a penalty that reduces your payout. Brad, what kind of penalty do you want to have when you get an insurance payout? Right?
As low as possible. Actual
cash value. Hey, Brad, what could you sell that stuff for on Craigslist? That's what your insurance policy is giving you, right? So I think and I'm not necessarily saying to adapt these words. These are some of the words that I used to use. I'd also say like, don't overdo it. I was talking to an estate attorney, and he kept talking about me getting hit by a bus and my wife getting hit by a bus. And then the order by which we both got hit by buses. And then my contingent beneficiaries got hit by a bus. And at some point I was like, I can't take this anymore. Like, please stop with like the imagery. This doesn't make any sense. So don't overdo it. But do kind of remove the boring lexicon that we love to talk about in our agency world. All right, second thing to grow sales is triggers to shop. Now, I'm sitting in my house and for whatever reason decided today not to have my air conditioning on. And it is like 83, 84 degrees and humid. I'm sweating. So on a day like today, right, if you're this guy, like, what do you want to be in the business of if you want to service this guy? Now, there's nobody able to comment. So I'm just going to say, like, this is a great time to be selling $10 a pop ice cold water, right? This guy would like literally be like, he would probably pay $15, $20 for ice cold water right now. Even better is if you're in the business of selling those like conditioners that air conditioners that you just stick in the window. Normally I would want to ask for some feedback. Feel free to throw a comment in here. It's Thanksgiving. What do you want to be selling around Thanksgiving? Brad, what do you think? I'm going to ask you since no one can comment here on the webinar.
Well, I would probably be selling weight loss programs.
Okay, that's like, see, you're a sharp guy. You are an entrepreneur, Brad. That probably be successful. I would say this is a great time now, of course, and you mentioned bar mitzvah earlier, so maybe Christmas isn't your holiday, but this is a great time to be selling Christmas trees. First snow of the season.
Yeah, let's get the skis.
Let's go. It's like ski time, right?
I got one great. Peter.
Hey, first time home buyer, excited. Oh, I'm so excited. Get the keys. It's like, boom, wrong. Get that insurance binder, right? Hey, tech company, you raised millions of dollars. We're so excited, like confetti. It's like, boom, directors and officers, man, you're not closing that deal till the insurance is in place, right? What I'm identifying here is like, hey, have a baby. We're all happy. The family celebrates. Like, boom, life insurance, dude. When you die, Who's going to make sure that your baby's going to be able to pay for go to college? And who's going to make sure that you're going to be able to pay your mortgage, disability insurance, right? These are the triggers to shop. Thankfully, I've done the hard work of mapping them all out for you. So if you want to sell a lot of insurance, one of the best things you can possibly do is think about like what is triggering people to need to buy insurance. And it could be something like a purchase, marriage, birth, death. We've kind of mapped all these things out. It could be a life event. It could be an insurance renewal. It could be a world event, like the world goes to war, or some countries go to war and there's supply chain issues. All these things, if you drive it back multiple levels, it will tell you like, where can I seek out that type of thing? So for example, if you're like, hey, I want to deal with like a business purchase because I want to sell business insurance. It's like, well, maybe you should get in touch with attorneys, business brokers, private equity and venture capital companies, incubators, places where businesses are getting started. And then like, okay, take it one step further. How do I connect with these people? It's like, yeah, go to where they go to networking events where attorneys hang out, go to conferences, get speaking engagements in front of technology or business creation events, or business broking, people talking about tax implications for when you go to exit and sell your business. Like that's kind of where you can back up and figure out the trigger to buy insurance. Now, if you get in front of that prospect when it's 90 degrees out, they're going to pay $10, $15 for that ice cold water. People are going to be seeking you out more than you just cold calling random people. So again, life event, marriage, birth, death. Maybe the agent or broker dies or retires. I've seen this happen. If I know that a friendly competitor of mine is on an account that I'm salivating over, you bet it that as soon as that person posts on LinkedIn, hey guys, I'm sailing off into the sunset, I'm picking up the phone and I'm calling that prospect. Hey John, I heard that your longtime agent retired. Let's get the conversation going again. Someone goes to college or graduates to get their new job, their first job. Maybe their first home or bought a business. I think as far as organizational changes, sometimes when you get a new customer, maybe it's your biggest customer ever, and now all of a sudden they're pounding on your door saying, hey, you got to get a certificate of insurance with a $10 million umbrella, right? New customers mean new contractual obligations. By the way, feel free, anybody, to throw a question. I have the chat up on the right side. So if you have questions, I'm happy to kind of take questions throughout the presentation. Maybe someone's doing a new type of work. Maybe, I remember 10 years ago, every electrician in our state was starting to do solar. And of course, that caused huge headaches for them and for their insurance pricing and eligibility. Maybe there's a contractual obligation. They have a new employee, hopefully a good driver, but maybe it's a really bad driver. If they have a significant growth, they're going to see a huge audit in 6 months and have to pay a bunch of premium. Or maybe they have shrinkage. It's like, hey, do you want to reduce your projections now so that you can make sure that you're not getting overbilled in your insurance right now? If they enter a new territory, you can listen, put a Google News alert for when somebody's entering a new state. Hey, we're selling in New York now. It's like the last thing you want to hear, because now you got to deal with New York state disability law. Have fun. Right. So these are different things you can think about as far as for triggers, new hires. Where can you find that, by the way? People love talking on LinkedIn about all their new hires. So hit that up.
Yeah, I was going to mention right here, Peter, that LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it's an inexpensive product. We use it, and it allows to create these triggers and notifications when things happen. When somebody's posting a job or somebody posted about a specific type of thing. And it allows you to do it by territory, by location, et cetera.
They need that for hackers and for burglars, right? Hey, Brad just posted he's on vacation in the Caribbean.
Exactly.
Here's his address. Somebody actually had made a website at one point. It was called who'snothome.com. And you literally would go on it and it would give you a list of all the people who had posted their vacation photo. And it's like, hey, break into their house now, because guarantee you they're, hours and hours away. But technology is amazing, both in good ways and bad, right? If you know that a key contact or decision maker left, it's like, hey, I've been trying to break into this business forever, and finally that guy, just got the boot, or that guy sailed into the sunset. Now I have a chance to go back to the account. World events, COVID happened, the Affordable Care Act, headline about, data breach. It's just a good reason to kind of reach out. New regulations about parental leave. That's probably going to be a thing in the next 5 years. Going to have people really confused. Tax changes. That's going to get people thinking, should I sell my business now before they get rid of this, capital gains thing? If the market's crashing, there's just all these things that are going to cause people to give you an in to talk about insurance. Renewals, obviously, price increases, how often do we even, as you know, on this webinar, at least some of the best agents trying to improve our businesses, but have you ever like not done a great job on your customer's renewal, and all of a sudden you're doing it last minute? That's a great opportunity for someone else to come in and swoop that account away from you. Or maybe you haven't shopped the account properly. You haven't gone to market the way you should have, and they're seeing a 25% increase in this hardening market. If there's market changes, I hear this all the time, insurance companies pulling out of a market. If you're in Florida, you know, God bless you, but everyone's either going out of business or leaving the state because it's just too challenging. In California, you got wildfires, right? So maybe someone's been with the same company for 3 years, and for whatever reason, insurance companies like to increase premium after 3 years. It's a good time to shop. Maybe there's a captive opportunity. It's like, hey, you know what? How do you like subsidizing all those crappy businesses out there? How about you go to a captive and take control of your premiums? When you have claims, and by the way, I used to look up claims. I would go online, I'd see lawsuits, and like you can like look into lawsuits that aren't going the best way, and that's a reason to reach out to somebody and like be familiar with what's happening using the tools at your disposal. You know, brokers making a mistake, bad experiences, of course. Right after renewal, I used to call people and say, hey, Brad, would love to talk about your insurance. Like, oh, we just renewed. I'd be like, perfect. Right after renewal is typically when the work comp audit comes due, and it's a great time to just revisit with no pressure to even do anything. Just kind of have a second opinion of everything. It doesn't cost you anything but 30 minutes. How's Friday at 3 o'clock, right? Experience mod increases. These are things that are public. You can use, there are tools out there to help you navigate that. But if there's an experience mod increase or decrease, are people managing their experience mod appropriately? Do they have reserves on their account that they need to take a look into before renewal to reduce what the experience mod's gonna be charging them for the next 3-4 years? If there's a lot of turnover, I think if I was an agent today, I would have a flag. I would be looking for any press release anytime there's M&A happening, right? My local competitor just sold, right? Hallelujah. I'm picking up the phone and calling every one of their accounts. Hey, how do you guys like working with a publicly traded company where the ownership is now gone, no longer invested in the community? And like, I wouldn't want to be trash talking, but I'd want to be, having a good message that was
a little trashy there, but we get the same thing in the MSP world where MSPs get acquired and the people that they've known and loved are sort of checked out. And we see this a lot of M&A activity, obviously.
You can call it trashy, you can call it real. I think, look, if somebody just sold their agency for $200 million and it's public because, the company they're owned by is public and it's disclosable, say, hey, they just sold for $200 million. I'm not sure how much time they're going to be giving your account anymore, seeing as they just bought a yacht and are moving back down to Florida, right? Again, just like thinking through, what you got to get people motivated here. Anyway, everybody's got to find their own flow, and I'm always wanting to do things the right way. Education and awareness, just different things people might hear of as far as triggers to shop. Maybe they heard a podcast, maybe they're getting all this inbound email or ads or networking events. Like if you're not at the networking event, let's say, I don't know, you insure plumbers and there's a plumbers association. If you're not there, or if you didn't even know there's a plumbers association, I can guarantee you your competitors are probably there, selling insurance to all the plumbers. So like you should get on that. Searches, we use a tool called Zoom Info, amazing tool. It's actually kind of scary how accurate it is. It can tell anybody who visits your website. It can like unmask people's like phone numbers and stuff. These are tools that are out there. They're widely used across the industry. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, I was going to say Zoom Info is a product that if you've got an agency, you may want to look at. I mean, literally it will tell you that a certain company is looking for insurance because it has this intention thing where it knows somehow that people in a company are looking for insurance or looking for a managed service provider.
Yes. So spoiler alert, if you think Google is just like this like nice company that doesn't want to be evil, they got rid of that slogan a while ago. Everything you type into Google is being used to track you, basically. So when you go on Google and you type in Tesla, they know that you either want to buy Tesla stock or you want to buy a new car, right?
And the way Zoom Info works is it works off your email signature. So you think about it, your email signature, at least mine, has my mobile number on it, has my office number on it, has every way to get in touch with me.
All right. So let's see what else. We're going to just kind of skip through this. Again, there's tons of opportunities as far as triggers to shop. Again, this really is going to vary based on, do you sell personal? Do you sell commercial? Do you have a niche? Are you a generalist? But if you just, I'd encourage you, go back, watch this presentation, go to the one I started, and just use that as a jumping off point to be like, what are the triggers that people are looking for when they're shopping for insurance? Any kind of questions, again, feel free to throw it in the chat. I'm just going to keep going though, because I don't see anything yet besides picnic. I don't know what that means, but
that's Michael Trillion. He'll have to explain.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to your explanation. You can put it on LinkedIn so everybody can get the context after this call.
Maybe
how do you get
at a picnic right now, and it's a good time to rob his house?
Oh, problem in share, not in computer. That's pretty good, Michael. Wow. Good. That's like a polite way of telling Brad that he, By the way, I told Brad in preparation for this, I said, Brad, you've done enough of these webinars now. You need to make a process checklist, a before, during, after checklist. You can see here, it says bonus, before, during, after checklist. We have this at my family agency. I created it. I'm not going to talk about it today on this call, although I'm talking about it now, but you can check it out at wunderite.com/blog. This comes from the airline industry, right? Wouldn't it be great to know your pilot has a checklist before he takes off and then before he lands? And like nobody wants to get on, Brad Ruben Airlines or my Archway Airlines.
No. You do not want. I used to fly, by the way. I have my sole license.
I'm just giving Brad a hard time, of course. My Archway, I hired Brad years ago at my family agency. Fantastic decision. Definitely made the pain go away. And Brad used to tell me, he was like, I love working with you because you complain all the time and it makes me better, because he was always refining his processes. So he may not be, the problem may be in the chair, not in the computer for the Zoom webinar, but as far as IT services, did a great job for us.
Thanks.
And still does.
Doug, your father is one of the greatest people I've ever met.
Well, that's too kind. This is recorded, so we can share this with him. Okay, getting the best intro. This is something, if you're out there making cold calls, which by the way, I closed some of my biggest deals from cold calls, both at Wunderite and at my family agency. So people that say cold calling is dead, I'm here to tell you it's not. It's a challenge, but it still works. But if you are in the business of cold calling and you're like, how can I make this a little bit easier? It's like, how do you get the best intro? And so I want you to imagine that someone is trying to sell you and your insurance agency a website. And let's just suppose, two scenarios. The first, of course, is like some boring cold call person or email or LinkedIn. Might even be a fake person on LinkedIn. That's like a thing now, right? They're selling you like a web design service. And you're like, yeah, let's just put that in the trash. Like I literally am overwhelmed with this stuff, right? Never going to look at it. Versus scenario two, suppose somebody, Dean, exactly. Most everybody on LinkedIn is fake. It's true. That's why Elon Musk's not buying Twitter, or at least what he's putting out there. Versus scenario two is imagine that your top client emails you. Brad, if your top client emails you right now, like how quickly till you get back?
Well, I would hang up from this webinar and I would get back to them.
All right. So suppose your top client emails you, right? Your eyeballs are on this email. And your top client says, hey, Peter, my web designer just finished our new website. You're like, oh man, they're doing a new website. I got to check that out. Give them some feedback. We got to talking. She knows your company and would love an intro. Can I introduce the two of you over email? Guaranteed answer is yes. It might be yes, we just hired a new company. It might be yes, like I'm on vacation. Let's circle up in 2 weeks. But like this intro is happening, right? You are the king of the hill in this situation. And so as far as getting the best intro, think about ways that you could make a list, Google Sheets, Airtable, and you start to do social like graphing of like, all right, who do I know that knows this person? How can I get the best intro, right? If you insure marinas, you should go to the Marina Association, go to your best marina customer and say, hey, Brad, I know you have a well-known marina. I'm trying to get into these 4 accounts. Like, and I know that maybe, do you happen to know these people? Can you make an intro for me? And set up those intros as opposed to getting in cold. Can be tough to be done at scale, but if you sit down for a couple hours, you can get some probably fantastic traction and a way higher hit rate. Tip 4, this shouldn't even be a tip, but it is something my dad taught me from the early days. This actually comes from Dan Sullivan, a strategic coach. Basically, this is like, don't be a jerk, like be someone that you would want to do business with. Now, if for those of you who are agents on the call, I want you to like, have you ever been excited to do business with somebody or buy a new car or do something only to find that you're talking to some salesperson who is just not somebody that you want to do business with. And you're like, I'm no longer excited about opening my wallet and dropping all this cash into your pocketbook. The 4 habits of referability is like, don't be that person, right? They're very simple. Show up on time. This used to, of course, be pretty much exclusively on, in-person meetings, but now it's like, hey, show up on time for the Zoom meeting, be a minute early, do what you say you're going to do, finish what you start, say please and thank you. Shouldn't even have to be tips in a presentation, but if you're looking for easy process, and by the way, we talked to hundreds of agencies. We were just down at a big event in Key West. The number one thing that all the agencies there were talking about was, how do I create better process? I would say if you're looking for better process, this is like one of the ones that I would instill at my company from the very beginning. Hopefully you're hiring people that do these things anyways. But if not, then it's just a good reminder. And I memorize these, the 4 habits of referability. Okay. Again, we have this bonus checklist, before, during, after checklist. This was been like, Jason Cass was tweeting this. Everybody was talking about this. Basically it's, what do you do before you're meeting with a prospect? What do you do during the meeting with a prospect? What do you do after the meeting with a prospect? If you're looking for the easiest, simplest tip that you can implement today, that is the easiest thing to remember. Check this out. It's a fantastic thing. I'm not going to talk about it today in the webinar. I'm going to say, go check it out on Wunderite, or check out Jason Cass's video. He recorded me when I wasn't watching, by the way. I didn't even know he was making a video, but that's 2022 for you. All right. The last one here is on automation. This is where I'm going to talk about Wunderite for a little bit. And I'll just kind of go through very quickly, like who we are, what we're all about. I was an agent for 7 years, love doing it. Sometimes I get a little bit of FOMO that I'm not an agent, but I'm living my best life building software. The biggest problem that I had, the most frustrating thing, is I would work so hard. These are just 4 tips out of probably 20 that I was walking through today that I would do to get business, win business, keep business. The number one frustrating problem that I had was I was wasting time filling out applications like this. Accords, impossible to fill out. I hired a consultant, still couldn't figure it out. Supplementals. And it's bad for you. It's awful for your agency. We're trying to onboard hires to our agency, new hires who literally were born with an iPhone in hand. And we tell them, hey, welcome to like 10 years ago tech. Like, here's what you should be using to run your business. And it's awful for your customer. It's like, nobody wants to fill this out. If your customer's out walking his or her dog and you send an email saying, hey, please fill out this thing, they're going to be like, yeah, I'll get to that like next week. Right. So customers have new expectations. We just have these amazing things in our pockets. We bring them everywhere, too many places, to be honest. And so Wunderite makes these insurance applications way easier. You can fill out any application, any supplemental, any Accord form from any device. It's very easy, high level. You find the application that you're looking for. We have this library with thousands of apps. You fill it in, you share it with your customer. If there's one thing that's been like going huge and blown up in the past 10 years, it's sharing, making links so you can share documents all over the place, and then sign it with a true digital signature. And we've built that in, no additional cost. What's interesting with Wunderite is we're preserving every single answer to every single question for really good integrity and for E&O purposes. We have this forms library. We have thousands of forms. Part of our onboarding process is that you would send us the forms that you have, and we digitize them if they don't already exist in Wunderite. We have search as you type, super easy to find your forms. We have recently released, this isn't even public yet, we have what we call the easy button. This is going live. It's live for some of our customers right now. We're making it live probably by the end of the month. All of our customers, it's this autofill button. You basically load the form up to your customer and you hit the easy button, autofill, and it just fills out the form for you. This went live, I think a week ago for us. And every week we're adding about 10 new fields that we can autofill. We are on a mission to make these forms go away as much as possible. The autofill button is one of our secret weapons to do that. Every week, 10 new forms. Where we're going next is you'd hit the autofill button, and now it's not just going to fill out like this Accord, but like any Accord with the same data, and then supplementals. Can come back to that later. So you fill it in. We also have the ability to run through an application, and we have this smart fill where you click into the fields and it literally will say, well, there's actually 3 or 4 values this could be, because maybe you're working with a really big account. That happened all the time with me. And it's like, which one do you want to pick and choose? There's a question from Michael about Accord data exportable. The Accords themselves are exportable, and technically the data is structured, so we could export the data, but probably worth to have a follow-up conversation on that. We're built API first. That was a philosophical decision we made from the very beginning. What that means is anything that you can do in Wunderite is first and foremost defined basically for the computer engineers, and can be done at the command line. So anything is potentially possible. And yeah, Michael, let's circle back on that. The second,
Peter, where are you getting the data from? I mean, do you want to talk about the integration with an agency management system at this point? Or
yeah, certainly. So I guess just briefly on where the data comes from. It comes from a couple places, right? Data can come from the agent. It can come from just in general. Let's just talk in general. Where does data come from? It comes from the agent, comes from the carrier, comes from the customer, comes from third parties. Like those are the different sources of data. Maybe you're on Zillow, maybe you're on Trulia, maybe you're on LoopNet, maybe you're on ZoomInfo, right? That's like third-party data. Maybe your insurance carrier is telling you things, that's carrier data. Maybe your customer is answering questions, that's the customer data. Maybe you've done some research, that's like your data, right? What Wunderite does is we make it easy to gather data from all of those sources, maybe with the exception of carriers, which we don't grab data from carriers yet. So as far as customer data, we pull in over 170 data points for a property. We pull in over 50 data points for a vehicle with a vehicle identification number, automatically, instantaneously. So if you give us an address, we can tell you the flood zone. We can tell you the replacement cost 80 to 90% of the times. It's a trade-off. It's instantaneous. Maybe not the most accurate, but like pretty accurate. And it's like gets you in a ballpark. As far as the agent, like your data, it's like you can fill this data in directly here. And then as far as the sharing, we make it super easy to basically share this with your customer. And when your customer clicks into this, they're just going to see 2 or 3 questions, and they can fill out the questions that are relevant for them and only them. In fact, I was just talking to someone today, and he said, I was working on this huge account. Guy was totally inaccessible by phone. We shot this link off to him. He clicked into it. He filled in the 6 questions like pretty quickly. As far as integrations with Relativity 6, Hazard Hub, or similar, yeah, certainly. I think these things are certainly possible. I think we work with Hazard Hub, Relativity 6. I know those guys, Alan Ringwald, awesome company. Relativity 6 basically makes it easy to classify a business NAICS code. We've indexed NAICS codes. If you go on Wunderite and you type in like carpentry, we'll automatically filter down like the carpentry NAICS code. I think Relativity 6 takes it to the next level. And then we built up digital signature as well. So you can go on here and without having to pay for an extra license or even having to ever leave a software, you can kind of sign with a cryptographic hash. Yeah. What do you like about that, Brad?
No, I love it. I mean, some of these e-signature products are so expensive, and not having to add that on is awesome.
Just to be clear, this is digital signature. So if you're out there in the market, e-signature is a squiggle on a screen, and digital signature means there is a cryptographic hash. Without boring you, what that means is there is a math function happening that verifies anything that you and your customer did in fact happened, and you can check it in the future. Whereas e-signature, someone could potentially void it. So this is a true digital signature, cryptographically hashed, legally binding. Super excited about that. We released recently Passwordless Login as well. This is just, everybody has this on their iPhone. You look at your phone, it logs in. This is a magic link implementation where you just say, email me a magic link. It sends you an email, you click the button and it logs you right in. This is huge because people just don't create passwords. And if they do, it's like password 1. And back to Brad's earlier point today, which is like, don't get hacked. One of the easiest ways to do that is create weak passwords that are reused across the internet. Okay, so that's kind of
so just one other thing to add. There's no software to install on your PC or anything like that. It's just
I guess sorry, it's probably worth mentioning. Yes, it's a contemporary software. It is designed mobile first, so pretty much every functionality you saw today is designed first and foremost to happen on your iPhone or Android. Reason being, like, I used to be the producer sitting in the parking lot waiting for the meeting with my prospect or customer. And I'm like, hey, if I want to do something from my phone, if I want to fill out an accord from my phone, I should be able to do that. I don't want to have to like email it to send it back to the people in the office so like they can do it. It's like, I want to do it right now. Otherwise I'm going to forget it. And so it's a mobile first software, nothing to install. It's always up to date. We do improvements on a weekly basis. We ship new code every 2 weeks and we do hot fixes in between. So
And no extra charge for the mobile version of the software.
No, it's the same version. Yeah, no extra charge. It's one simple charge. We do have an extra charge. The only extra charge we have is for an integration, to your earlier point. We are going live with an integration with AMS 360. We have an integration with Zapier. There's no extra charge from Wunderite for a Zapier integration, but Zapier basically would allow you to connect to thousands of applications, Google Drive, Dropbox, HubSpot. That's already live. There's no extra cost for the Zapier integration. AMS 360, we work with a third party to do the integration, and we're going live with our first 2 or 3 agencies in a matter of days. I'm on a daily call right now. It's as a former agent at an agency that's been on AMS 360 forever. It's really exciting, and it's really exciting to like see this live. Again, I'm doing this every day for an hour. The past week or two. It's really exciting to see like, wow, this is actually happening.
But the fact that you integrate with Zapier, and for people that don't know what Zapier is, it's basically an integration website application, which allows you to quote unquote write code. That, as an example, like if we get a new somebody signs up as a client with us, we add them to our email client list, right? And and so we use HubSpot, we use FreshBooks, and there are literally thousands of these apps. So it's a cool app to work with. I wish every insurance agency management system worked with Zapier, but they don't.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick example. Something we do at Wunderite. If you sign up for a demo on our website, we actually use WordPress for our landing page. And we have some custom plugins we've built and some third party, but if you sign up for a demo, we integrate with Calendly and it books the meeting right in your calendar. We also do use Zapier to notify us in Slack, and there's all these other things happening. Some of them we've done direct integrations. Some of them happens because Zapier is connecting the dots between WordPress, Gravity Forms, Calendly, email, Slack, etc. And so, yeah, that's a mouthful. I am done on the tips here. So I think.
Sure. So how did they get in touch with you if they want to get a bigger demo of Wunderite or just talk insurance sales?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. Again, I love talking to agents. I'm still a licensed agent, though I don't actually do insurance anymore. Check out on LinkedIn, just Peter Macdonald. You can go to Wunderite.com. You can call 888-Wunderite. You can find me on Twitter. Please add me, send me a message. Would love to connect. It's just great to hear all the different agencies have all these great ideas. And so it's a lot of fun.
Right. Well, congratulations. And Hannah posted in the chat all the ways to get in touch with Peter. If you want to get in touch with me, brad@myarchway.com, and Hannah's putting all that in the chat area. But I'm just so impressed, Peter, by in a short time what you guys have accomplished over there. And the number of agencies who've sort of seen the light and have wanted to become a client of yours. So I hope to see you at IAOA and fairly soon.
See you in Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville. And if anybody has any other questions, we're going to hang out here for a sec and wait for you all. If not, hey, thanks for joining Insurance Hacks. I hope you enjoyed it. And Peter, thank you very much for being on it. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, certainly. So listen, go write some business and check out the Wunderite.com blog for the before, during, after checklist. You have 11 minutes before the hour to bookmark that and institute an awesome process at your agency before, during, and after every sales call.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Very cool. Very cool. And I will always remember that video of the guy taking the and then flipping
the pallet.
Yeah. Wow. And then the slow motion and all that sort of stuff.
Dean's asking, Peter, what's the one great unknown tech item that we should all look at? I guess, gosh, one of the ones that stands out recently, if you're doing cold calling, and you have like a cold calling division, we use this tool called Orum, O-R-U-M. I tested it out personally, made a few hundred cold calls. This thing transformed my cold calling, where it went from like making one call at a time. This literally like would make 5 calls simultaneously, and it would only talk to like you could like see all the transcripts real time, because a lot of times you're hitting a phone tree, and it would even navigate the phone trees. And
Really?
when someone picks up, you're instantly connected. So you literally just talk to people, and you're able to call like 2 to 3 times as many people. So interesting tool, kind of expensive, only makes sense if you are doing a lot of cold calling. And again, we just were checking it out. I think we got it one for our team, for one of our team members. As I mentioned, Zoom info is expensive, but very cool. So
I would say, Dean, I know that there's a lot of sales CRMs that are out there on the market, and there's some that integrate with the management systems, but a product that really transformed my business was HubSpot. And it's more accessible to people that don't have a Salesforce expert that they're paying $250 an hour to create the automation and stuff like that. So that's a product that we really love. And yeah, and a lot of our agencies are really getting involved with Office 365 and Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Bookings.
I'm curious, Brad, like because on the phone side is one thing I thought about. Like, I remember my agency days, we had all these desktop phones, and I remember thinking, why are we spending thousands of dollars on desktop phones? We should just give everyone an iPhone. Like, everybody, they're at home using their iPhones 10 hours a day anyways. And so with Wunderite, I know we set up like an IP phone system. What are your thoughts on an IP phone system?
Well, I'm not an expert on IP phone systems, but we like products that integrate IP phone systems with your agency management system. So like Blue Butler is a middleware product that we really like. There's a product called Bridge that's gone through a reincarnation, and we're hopeful that about that product. There's a product called Intevio, which integrates Ring Central, which is the phone system we use. And we have people all over the planet that work for us. And Ring Central definitely transformed our business as well.
I know we've used Dialpad, and it's been great because every employee uses their own personal phone, but they get their own separate work number that you control and you can change, and they can text from it and they can send photos. I'll tell a little hack that we did. We bought 888 Wunderite. Like, I'm a kind of a nerd, right? I wanted the 888 Wunderite. I think it's a little old fashioned. People don't do that anymore, but in order to find good phone numbers, like, it's not easy, and Dialpad doesn't make it easy. So we were using Twilio, which is like a phone number provider. I would use asterisks at the end of phone numbers to find phone numbers ending in 2 zeros, because I'm like, I want phone numbers that are easy to remember. So my number, vanity's not gone. My number is 617-917-2200. I wanted, and my co-founders has 2 0. Actually, every employee has 2 zeros at the end of their phone number, and that was through Twilio. Twilio helped me find those.
Yeah, but another thing that Hannah did for us is on our business cards, we have the QR code there. And so somebody gets our business card, they can scan the QR code. It'll bring them right to a landing page on our website.
Word to the wise on that one. Make sure you're using a reputable QR code generator. I think there are services that are out there that say, hey, we can generate a QR code that goes to your LinkedIn or goes to your website. And what they do is they actually create a landing page that when you scan it, it scoops up the the info, and then it pushes it on to your landing page. So, make sure that you're building a true a QR.
Yeah, we did it. We did it through HubSpot. So yeah. All right.
All right, we got to run.
Well, no, I know you've got to run. So any other questions out there from the audience? We'll send an email with a link to the recording of this. And feel free to reach out, brad@myarchway.com, peter@wunderite.com. And we'll catch you on the next insurance hacks in a couple weeks.
Take care, everybody.
All right. See ya.